And so welcome to Bridging the Gap in cooperation with Events 101. I am Tanisha. Hi, Luann, how are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Good to meet you. So I'll just quickly let you know a little bit about myself and my previous experience in the events industry. I've been doing events for a little over 10 years now. What started off as really small kind of family events and birthdays has actually turned into weddings overseas and concerts and stuff like that. So predominantly, I am in the used to doing stage management and the kind of running of large events. So previously I've done kind of smaller intimate events where there might be like 20 to 30 people. And then I've done a really big event like Brixton O2 where there will be like 5,000 people. And I've done kind of just by myself and then eventually have built up a team as well. So Luan, just tell us a little bit about yourself. Again, I'm really excited to hear about, great ways to make your CV look really good and to make your LinkedIn profile look really good as well. Because I know that when I was younger and looking for event roles, yeah, I'll let you have the floor.
Thank you. And thanks for having me and inviting me along to this session. So I'm a marketer. I've been a marketer for 20 years, worked within advertising agencies, worked within clients as an in-house marketing manager, and I've run my own marketing consultancy business for the last 10 years. Shall we dive straight into the slides?
Nice, yes, I'll let you get straight into it. I'll mute myself.
Thank you. So thank you for watching this session. As a quick recap, I am a marketer and I'm coming at the session from different angles, really. The fact that I clearly speak at events. There's a photo of me at the bottom of this slide in the days when we could do face-to-face events and I was in a classroom. I've done small events, I've done large events, online events clearly for the last several months, but I was doing them before as well. And I guess I'm coming at this topic today for you from different angles, from the fact that I do run events. I've organised plenty of events in my career. I speak at events, but I also promote events. I'm a marketer. So actually, I've written a course on marketing your event. That course is for LinkedIn. I am really proud to be one of LinkedIn Learning's course instructors. And if you have a premium account, which I'll talk about in a second, you would be able to go and watch that course and many others. As a marketer, I guess over the last few years, social media has become my specialism to the point that I've written a book on the topic. It's called Relax, It's Only Social Media. It's available from Amazon or my own website. And that's really how I want people to feel about social media, just to relax. You know, it's a marketing channel. It's not a big dark art. We shouldn't be overthinking it. It's just a great tool. And never before has it been such a great tool for us to communicate with people. So I do love LinkedIn, that's the topic for today, but I am also an accredited trainer for Facebook and Instagram and Google as well. You can find me if you have questions after this session. Please feel free to find me on a social media platform or visit my website. I'm always happy to answer questions. But my agenda for today in this quite short session, but don't worry about scribbling down notes. You can get a copy of these slides and I've got some resources for you at the end. My agenda is to briefly just talk to you about the different types of account on LinkedIn. I'm going to go very quickly, but I have got the resource for you on how to make sure that your LinkedIn profile is complete. By complete, we call this an AllStar profile because that's the rating that LinkedIn will give to you when you've completed it. Very briefly talk about how to make connections and build your network. And then I just wanted to kind of just briefly let you know that there is a specific feature on LinkedIn for events. And maybe you're in the situation, you may be looking for a new job role right now. LinkedIn is great for that. But you may also be using your LinkedIn profile to find speakers and send them messages. You may be using it to promote your event using that feature that I'm going to show you, or just to generally talk about events with your peers as well. And the important thing is, the reason that we want to look so professional and have a complete profile is because it's our first impression that we make with people. And if we want people to respond and say, yes, I'd love to speak at your event, or I'd love to come along to your event, we need to make sure that we are ready to do that level of business, that we are looking professional, complete, showcasing the best of ourselves, so that when people are having a look at our profiles, they'll go, yeah, they're the people I want to talk to. That's the event that I want to come along to. But just before we dive into that, I want to just explain that there are different levels of account on LinkedIn. I would never suggest anyone upgrades and pays for a tool until they've used all the features that they can for free. Very often people will upgrade and pay for something when actually they're not even ready to. They're not ready for the additional level of features that a paid for account can bring. So you can do everything I'm going to talk about today with a free account, which is great news. But there are some benefits to a paid for account. They would be more specific criteria for searching. So if you really wanted to deep dive into some granular levels of search criteria, if you're looking for those speakers or potential delegates, you may want to upgrade. You may want to have that upgrade if you want to send messages through LinkedIn that is not about connecting with people, but just perhaps as invitation messages. If you want credits to do that, you would need a paid for account. I would recommend that sometimes you might want to do that to attract delegates to an event without personally connecting to them. And you could just upgrade for a month at a time as you're working on an event, or you could have the account premium all of the time. It's about £40 a month. The other couple of benefits that you get from the paid for account is you would have access to that online learning library of courses. Not only is the Marketing Your Event one in there, there's lots of other marketing, social media courses in there. I know there's other event marketing, event planning courses in there, but also all your tech skills, life skills, negotiation, interview, time management, lots of courses in there for you. Perhaps the biggest benefit as well of a paid for account is that you would have the visibility of people viewing your profile. On a free account, you would only be able to see the last 4 or 5 people that are having a look at your profile. On a paid for account, you would be able to see everyone. So that could be a key feature as you use LinkedIn more and more. You will see, I'm not going to cover it quite today, but you will get to see how many people are viewing your profile, so you will know if you're missing out or not. The next thing after knowing what type of account you might want is just before you dive in, do check that you know what you're sharing and who you're sharing it with. And this actually applies to all social media platforms, not just LinkedIn, but make sure that you go into the privacy settings. This is a screenshot from a desktop, and I do recommend that the most functionality you need for LinkedIn is on a desktop. I do think the mobile app is harder to use. There are 4 key privacy settings that I would suggest you specifically have a look at. This is a short session, so I've already written this up as a blog, so there's a link there that you can go to. But primarily those 4 settings are to hide when you are making changes to your LinkedIn profile. You don't need to let everyone know what you're doing, so switch those notifications off. Hide who can see your connections. You don't want to leave your, bear with me on the age thing, but if you had a Rolodex of business cards or a black book or a database of key contacts, you don't want to leave that open to everyone to have a look at on LinkedIn, which they could see when they're connected to you. So personally, my clients, my prospects, my partners, my key contacts, that's a really important business asset to me. And I don't just want to leave that on the table for everyone to have a look at. But I do want to connect with lots of people. So I will connect with lots of people, but I'll make sure that I'm not sharing too much information with them in terms of data and contacts. And on that same note, I would hide a setting called viewers of this profile also viewed. It's something that if you ever look at someone's LinkedIn profile, it's in a grey box down the right-hand side. You would be able to see the 10 people that are quite similar to that profile that you're having a look at, which could, if anyone was looking at your profile, it could be 10 competitors in there. And you don't want to show people looking at you 10 people very like you. You want them to focus all on you. So I would switch that off. I would also have a look at profile viewing options. And this is where I said a few minutes ago about being able to see who's viewed your profile. In profile viewing options, there is the option to be completely visible, to let people know when you're having a look at their profile, and they would see your photo, your name, and your headline, which I'm going to come on to in a second. But sometimes you want to have a route around LinkedIn, have a look at some profiles, and not let people know that you're having a look. So there is the option to go anonymous. And when you're anonymous, you can look around as much as you like, dive into people's profiles, look at lots of people's profiles, and they won't know that you're doing it. That, of course, won't show up in the who's viewed your profile. There's nothing you can do to override someone's individual privacy settings, but this is something that you might want to do if you're researching potential speakers, delegates, contact sponsors without letting them know in the first instance. And you can switch between those settings all of the time. There's a summary in that blog for you. Because I wanted to spend this short session talking about the key that need to be on your LinkedIn profile. Those key things are a profile photo, a professional head and shoulders shot, so that people can recognize you. Hopefully, if you had a look at my LinkedIn profile and then you're looking at me now, I would appear very similar. There is nothing worse than having a photo that doesn't look like you. We do not want photos with pets, sunglasses on, holiday pics, people's arms cut out if it was a party event photo. This needs to be a professional, how you would make a first impression. So you might want to check your profile photo. You need to include an industry. I'm guessing it would be event services. I'm pretty sure that's an industry option. The reason to include that is it's because people could find you that way. If someone was searching for someone working in events, industry is a selection criteria. You need to pick a location to put on your LinkedIn profile. This may be where you live or it may be where you work. You can choose just one location. When you do this, you input your postcode. For me, I live in a very remote village in the Cotswolds. So actually, I chose to use the postcode of the nearest large town. So if anyone looked at my profile and saw the location, it would hopefully be a town that they recognized rather than a village that they had no idea in the UK where that might be. These are all ways to get you found, but also when someone's looking at you, they may want to know where you are. The experience section of your LinkedIn profile is almost the CV bit. But what I would encourage you not to do is don't just copy and paste from your CV. I would encourage you to focus the experience section on having descriptions. A short description about the roles and responsibilities that you had in the job or you have now, but also a short paragraph that just explains the business. People may not always know the name of the business and they won't go off searching by themselves. So include a short description of the business, the size of the business, the kind of clients you work with, what services you offer. Make this far more than a CV. Make it your online portfolio so that people know everything about you. Education is a section that LinkedIn likes you to include. It doesn't need to include all your exam grades. It could just include the latest school or college or university that you went to. The further you are on throughout your career, the less information that you need to include in education. But if you are still studying or have recently studied, I would include all your modules and details of perhaps your dissertation, so that anyone looking at your profile, if you don't have huge amounts of career experience, they can see what you've studied and learned about during your courses. So it's something that changes as you progress through your career. Skills is a section on your LinkedIn profile. For me, this is more about using it as a list of keywords that people might use to find you. I wouldn't worry about having endorsements on those skills because you may just be updating your profile. You may be new to the industry and not have lots of people that can say, yes, she can do this. He's great at that. I would fill in this section, but then personally, I would recommend switching endorsements off, because endorsements would mean that you would have to do quite a lot of work to get people to say that you're good at something. But also, I think if you added a recommendation to your profile, like a testimonial, that would carry far more gravitas. So skills, fill in the box, focus on recommendations and your own descriptions. And to get the All-Star status, it's a minimum of 50 connections. Now, this one slide might sound quite simple. There is a lot to it in terms of filling in these sections. In the short session today, I can't go through all of them. I'm going to pick out a couple of them in a moment. But I have written a guide to creating an All-Star profile. And at the end, there is a link where you can download that PDF for free from my website, which takes you through all the details that you need on these sections. But the key sections that I wanted to highlight in this session to you are making that first impression that I talked about. This is that top bit of your LinkedIn profile. Someone sees, once they found you, they come straight to this part, the top section of your profile. So that nice profile photo, I think I look similar. You can also brand the header along top. I used to have a picture of me talking to a crowded room, but that's not so relevant right now. So I've chosen to change mine to a picture of me, my laptop, and also some accreditation logos. If you are looking for a job role right now, you would be able to add, and I've just done this as a highlight to show you, this green circle of showing that you are open to work. LinkedIn has recognized the climate that we're in. They want to make it easy for people to let others know that they're open to opportunities. So you would be able to add that to your profile. You have your name on there. But the really important thing, if you did one thing after today's session, it would be to amend the headline that sits beneath your name. As a default, LinkedIn would put your job title and your company name in there. But you have about 120 characters here where you could write so much more. So you've seen here, I've put that I'm a chartered marketer, I'm an author, a writer of marketing plans, I do LinkedIn and social selling training. If I was perhaps in the event industry, I might talk, as you did in your introduction, about what kind of events and what size of events that you work on, where you work. Just add a bit more description. It would help you get found if someone's really looking for that specifically. But also when you appear in search results, it would help someone click through to it. And you can change this as often as you want. So if you decide that you want to apply and work in events in a specific industry, become a specialist in that area of events. If you change, you want to do something else, get involved in something else, change that headline. It will help you get found, and this is all about making the first impression. There's a new feature, and this is something that you can only do on the mobile, but you might want to consider it, is that you can now add a 10-second audio recording. That's what the little microphone symbol is next to my name. And I've used that as a 10-second recording. The idea is that you would use it if you have a name that is perhaps difficult to say, so that people could listen to it and say it right when they first speak to you. But because it's 10 seconds, I think you can use that for so much more than just saying your name. You could, do something similar to your headline. Hi, I'm Luann Wise. I help people learn how to use LinkedIn. Call me. It's a feature. Use these features. Make that good first impression. After you have filled in all the other sections of your LinkedIn profile, the experience, the education, the skills, got some recommendation, come up to the top of your profile and make sure you have an about section. This sits under the image I've just shown. This is words on the screen, don't worry. If you have a look at my LinkedIn profile, you'll be able to read what this says. And really, it's about summarizing everything on your profile, telling your career story, so that when someone finds you, this is the first thing that they read. Now, the important thing is that this isn't just a copy and paste of the personal statement at the top of your CV. This is you truly telling your story. And of course, this may change throughout your career, depending on what you're doing, what you're working on. But for mine, I'll just read a couple of bits out for it, and you'll see how I've made this quite keyword heavy to help me get found. But then there's a trick at the end. I've got 20 years experience in B2B and B2C marketing across agency, client side and consultancy roles. I've worked across different sectors, and I list the sectors. I also name some key clients. My career highlights so far including working for a Fast Track 100 business and going on to write courses for LinkedIn, being one of the world's first lead trainers for Facebook. So I've put my highlights in there. I then talk about what a typical working week looks like for me, so people know what I do now. But then the key part here is that you don't just go, this is me. You put a call to action on there. So my call to action is, if you need an experienced marketer to share and support your marketing challenges, get in touch. Yours could be, if you need an event professional to help you support your business, get in touch. If your business is looking to organise an event, get in touch. Tell people what you want them to do when they've read your profile. So you can see how this can be adapted, whether you're looking for a role or whether you're in a role and trying to do business development. Tell your story. At this point, people may not read all of that detail that we've put on your LinkedIn profile, but it helped you get found. And when it comes to interview stage, pitch stage, those more detailed level of conversation, that's when they'll look at the rest of the detail. This is not part of AllStar Profile, but something that I think is particularly important and really good for people working in events. And this is additional sections. When you're editing your LinkedIn profile, at the top, you would see this big blue button, Add Profile section. And in there, that's where you can add if you speak any languages, if you support any organisations, perhaps through volunteering, perhaps if you've done any certificates outside your formal education. But the key one for me is projects. And this is a perfect example. When I launched my Marketing Your Events course, I looked at my LinkedIn profile and questioned myself to say, if someone looked at my profile, would they think and see that I'm credible in this area to have written a course on it? And I didn't, even though I've been involved in events, I didn't have a specific events job title. It was part of a marketing manager's role. But I have been involved in lots of events. So I highlighted them as projects on my profile. You can't quite read it here, but this is the one shown on the screen is a conference that I organised. It was a collaboration between professional bodies. Not only did I organise it, I happened to keynote at it as well, and I put in there a short description of it. So if you have got key events that you've worked on in the past that you want to showcase like a case study, projects is the perfect place on a LinkedIn profile for you. Highly recommend that you do that. So that's filling it in. Once you have a filled in, great looking profile, you're then ready to make connections. And this could be with your peers, could be other people that you're chatting to throughout this event, but it could be people that you're trying to connect with to speak at your event or come along as delegates. The most important thing, my top tip, when you're sending any invitations via LinkedIn to make connections, to exchange business cards effectively, don't just click buttons and ticks and crosses, send notes. So if you've enjoyed this session and want to connect with me on LinkedIn, don't just find my profile and click connect, because I may not know that you're watching this. Send a note. Just watched your LinkedIn webinar as part of the events activity over these 2 days. Can I connect with you? Then I would go, yeah, she watched my session. That's great. I would know. So just send short notes. You can do it on the desktop like this. You can do it on a mobile as well. Wherever you see 3 dots or drop down arrows, click them and it brings up the opportunity to personalize that message. And it really would, I've included a template so you can remember when you look back. Introduce yourself. Highlight something you've got in common, or just flatter them a little bit. Say you've seen something on their profile that they've written. Show that you've paid a bit of attention and why you should connect. Compliment them. Do not go straight in with a sales pitch. It's too soon. Too soon. We haven't even met yet. So just focus on making those connections. And another tip for you, if you are receiving connection requests, again, I wouldn't just tick accept and go, that was nice. That's another name in my box. I would say thank you. I would send a message. So I would go to my network, which is on the top of my LinkedIn desktop. You can only do this on a desktop. Go to that and click see all, because otherwise you'd only see the top 3 last invitations that you'd received. But if you click see all, you would then get a drop down of every invitation in your inbox, whether there is a message or not. Obviously having a message makes it easier to reply, but if they haven't sent a message, that's fine. You can still check them out and send them a message. And I'm not sure if you can see it on your screen, but there is the blue word message that pops up after you've clicked on see all, which would allow you to send a message to them. Whether you want to connect or not, this is a good kind of filter to see if there's any opportunity there. And this is what I would send. Hi, thanks for the invitation to connect. I don't think we've yet met. Forgive me if we have. I'd love to start a conversation. What interested you about my profile? So if there was no original message for you to respond to, you can instigate the message and start a conversation. And that is really what LinkedIn is all about. Don't just click buttons and accept buttons. Try to use it to have conversations. Very often opportunities will come about that way, referrals, information, links, resources. So don't just collect names and numbers, try and have conversations. To bring this session, I said that I would talk to you very briefly about how to use it to promote events. You can, once your profile is all set up, you can absolutely, and you're building your network, the update box that's in the middle of your homepage, that's how you promote an event. We did it for this event. I'm looking forward to speaking at this event. I'm organising this event. This is what's happening. Come along. Here's the link. Here's how to register. Let people know what you're doing. LinkedIn also has groups where you can go and join. You may find groups, you have to search for them and join them. They're a bit like Facebook groups really for discussions, but you'll find local groups for your location. Could be based around chambers of commerce or growth hubs or LEPs. You may find groups for your industry. You may find groups for the industry of the people you want to come along to an event. Join those groups and post information. If it's relevant to them, you want to invite them to an event, groups are a great way to do it. LinkedIn is an amazing search database as well. There's over 720 million members using LinkedIn. You can search in the toolbar at the top. You can search by people, job title, keywords, and with a paid for account, you would be able to send messages to them without being connected. But otherwise, just search and send that personalized connection request. Don't forget those stages of marketing an event. Do things before the event and do things after the event as well. Before and after, I know that when an event is over, we usually just want to forget about it, but you know, the biggest work comes with the follow-up. So plan what you're going to use LinkedIn for before and after. And earlier this year, and they're developing it all the time, LinkedIn does have a specific events feature. You can now set up an event on LinkedIn. It's kind of like adding it to Eventbrite or something. It's kind of just posting that you have an event happening. When you've posted it, you can then invite the people that you're connected to, which it's not a registration, it's not a sign up or buy tickets, but it's more just to let people know, here's an event, here's your invite, and you can have discussions within that group as well. If there was one for this event, I could have jumped in there and said, I'm talking about LinkedIn tomorrow. Do you have any questions? Or tomorrow I could jump in there and say, hope you enjoyed my session. Do you have any questions? It's a new feature. It's not been overly used yet, but it's there. So I would have a look at it, particularly if you are targeting business audiences. So I'm sorry this was such a short session, but I hope there has been some information in here for you. As I said, here is a link and you can get the slide decks to read them more clearly. I have this free download guide to building and creating your AllStar profile. There are more blogs and resources on my website, luannwise.co.uk. And because the world of social media changes so often, I do a weekly email newsletter that you're very welcome to subscribe to. And every Monday morning, I would let you know what was happening in Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Tanisha.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Luann. That was really, really informative. I actually went onto my phone and edited my visibility bits on my settings as well. So yeah, that was really, really good. Thank you so much. I've just got a couple of questions for you. As I mentioned earlier, when I was a student, I found LinkedIn really, really, really hard, to the point where I actually had to ask somebody that had a bit more knowledge in it to actually help me how to navigate it. So what would you say a student should do first? Should they kind of spend a whole day trying to figure it out? Should they do things step by step, the profile picture first or the about section first? What would you say a student or somebody who has come to the platform for the first time should do?
So if you're coming to the platform for the first time, I would probably look some other people up first. Yourself, like me, other speakers from this event, and have a look at their profiles and what they've put on them. And then absolutely, either work through this slide deck and that list, work through my PDF guide and fill in your profile. But don't start connecting with people or trying to post updates until you're ready, until it's complete. Hopefully, LinkedIn has updated recently, so it looks a bit more like the other social media platforms. And if you're new to joining it, it does have a step-by-step guide for what sections to fill in. And if you haven't filled in a section, it will very often prompt you and say, hey, you haven't put an education section in here, fill it in.
Yeah. Great. Okay. Just to move on as well, Luann, although LinkedIn is obviously about growing your connections and your page and stuff like that, I would definitely say from my own point of view, it's about growing yourself as an individual as well. So I've taken some bold steps this year alone, actually, and kind of just DM'd some CEOs and some founders of businesses. And straight away, if you harass them enough, or you send them a couple of messages, they do actually end up replying. And I've had a couple of phone calls with, again, CEOs and founders of businesses. So would you say that's something important to do straight away as well? If you know who you're looking to speak to, so you just go ahead and kind of message them, or?
Yeah, so it's a really interesting insight. So I think the thing here is don't be afraid to message people. CEOs are just people like the rest of us. The key is to personalize that message. Spend a bit of time writing that message. So I do actually work with a CEO, supporting her with LinkedIn, and we will respond to people if they have taken the time to know who she is and to send something that's personalized.
Right.
If it was just can you look at my CV, please? You've put no effort into it. If you just put an effort into it, again, comment on something, I saw your post yesterday and it really resonated with me, or I saw that you did this and I loved it. I wondered if you'd be able to help me with, and be specific. Don't just say, I'm looking for a job, or can you look at my CV? A specific ask, and it's hard to ignore a specific ask. Right. What I would also recommend people that are studying is the first place to start is to look at your alumni. Look at people who have done your course 2-3 years in front of you. Find them. It's easy to search by university or courses, and just kind of reach out to them and say, I'm currently studying, or I've just finished studying. I saw from your profile that you did this a number of years ago. I wonder if you have any advice for me on. So
no, that's great.
Peer-to-peer works really well as the CEOs.
Right. No, that's really, really great advice. I'm going to take some of that on board as well. And just lastly, for somebody who may kind of have heard that LinkedIn is a professional kind of platform to use and they want to get into a specific industry, if they don't have any experience or any skills, how would you say is the best way for them to build their profiles?
I think there's a couple of things. So if you did have that premium LinkedIn account, you would be able to do their online courses. And when you do those online courses, it adds a certificate to your profile. So if you can do any online learning, it doesn't just have to be LinkedIn, it could be any courses that you're doing to upskill, make sure that you put those onto your LinkedIn profile so people can see that you're trying to learn. The other thing I would be looking to do would be to volunteer. Contact organisations, see if you can get involved in a volunteering capacity, intern capacity to support them. It could be freelance speakers, it could be people that are already organising online events. Offer your services to get the experience to show on your profile.
Okay, lovely. And also universities, they also offer access to LinkedIn Learning as well, don't they?
Many university libraries will have it as part of their subscriptions. Yeah, not all universities, but quite a lot do.
Some do, okay. And lastly, it was suggested to me by somebody who also works in marketing that I join communities on LinkedIn. What is the importance of that, would you say?
There are groups side of LinkedIn, the communities. To be honest, that would be the bottom of the task list. I think you've got work to do in terms of creating your profile, connecting with people, responding to messages, and content that you see in your news feed should be a priority over groups. Unfortunately, there are many groups that are just noise right now and hard to engage with and will take more time. You will get more results by trying to do things one-to-one and kind of sending the CEO messages or the alumni messages. I would always put groups at the bottom of the list of things to do on LinkedIn.
Okay, got you. Okay, well, thank you so much, Luann. It's been very, very, very informative. Thank you so much again. Could you just remind everybody where we can find you on social media if anybody had any other questions to ask?
Yeah, sure. So I am on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. The good thing about having a unique name is that I should be easy to find. If you type in Luann Wise to any of them, you would see my hair color right on the profile picture. So any social media platform, but also if you just Google me, you'll find my website as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Luann. You can find Events 101 on LinkedIn and Instagram as well. So thank you guys very, very much for joining us today. We hope that you actually took some notes and got some stuff down. It was very, very informative for myself as well. So thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, guys.